I had no idea the British press was so bigoted.
This one's wife. Insta. What will she do with it? Hello, I'm HG Tudor. As I foreshadowed in an earlier video, this one's wife's recent posting on her Instagram account raises the question of what's she going to actually do with this? Now, as you know from my earlier video, the posting in itself is linked to the prime aims, because this is an interactions is linked to other people, appliances. And when that happens with a narcissist, there is only one thing, and one thing only, that is the subconscious driver of the narcissist behavior, and that is the pursuit of the prime aims. The need to control or nullify threats to control, to maintain control over people, to draw fuel, to perhaps obtain character traits and residual benefits. Accordingly, when she posts the video of her arsing around on the beach, her narcissism has driven her to do that in the pursuit of the prime aims. But it leads to a wider question as to what is she actually going to now do with this Instagram account? Remember, this was established in 2022, and in that year it did nothing. In 2023 it was hinted at that she would be returning to Instagram, but nothing happened. In 2024 she did nothing with it, and thus it has laid dormant for some 2.5 years. Could this now herald the utilization of her Instagram account with regular postings? Or could it just be that in order to pursue the prime aims, we get this posting on the 1st of January 2025? It would not be a surprise if nothing actually further happened with it for some time. Why? Well, she's got form in that regard, hasn't she? Remember the 40 by 40 that she announced with Harry juggling outside of the window? Where did that get to? Nothing happened. She was going to march on Washington with Gloria Steinem. When did that happen? Have I missed it? No, it didn't. She was going to have lunch with the senators. That didn't take place. ARO was going to come into our lives. That still hasn't happened. Meet Me at the Lake was going to be a fantastic dramatization. So far, nothing has happened in relation to this. Time and time again, this one's wife has engaged in the future faking, whereby this narcissistic manipulation of utilizing a potential future event is catered for in the prime aims in the now. She uses the future to control the now. She talks about exciting projects in the future in order to elicit a response in the now, and she gets it because her narcissism recognizes that she's talked about, commented upon. Might it simply be this again? It's a possibility that in order to try and generate a response in the now, she posts something to the Instagram account, and then, having got the response, because it's been widely written about, widely commented about through mainstream media, the narcissism has done its job, and therefore may decide, don't need to do anything now. And it goes the way of so many of the projects that I've mentioned earlier, and others that I haven't, whereby nothing further happens with it. So keep in mind that there is the distinct possibility that whilst she has cryptically referenced 2025, it may be nothing more than future faking, and that nothing else happens with this Instagram account. The alternative is that she does utilize this Instagram account, that she starts to produce material for it. But let's look at that and consider, what might she do? Instagram is a form of social media, and for most people, social media is used by them for the purposes of connecting with friends and family. Have you seen this video? Oh, Auntie Jean, thanks very much for the jumper you got from me for Christmas. Here's a picture of me wearing it. But also, many people use social media to be entertained, to be informed. They may follow a particularly heavyweight news outlet so that they get detailed dissections of what's going on in the world. They may follow an account because they're interested in crafts and the individual makes interesting videos about certain crafts. They might follow their lead, copying what they do as part of their hobby. For others, they like to watch videos of near-fatal crashes because they're both intrigued and entertained by that. They might follow somebody because they find what they talk about interesting. It might link to an interest that they have, a hobby that they have, or it's just sheer mindless entertainment that makes them laugh their tits off. But the fact is, most people who have a social media account aren't there creating content necessarily themselves. They use that account for the purposes of connecting with friends and family and to follow groups and other individuals for the purposes of entertainment. Can we see this one's wife doing that? It's a big fat no. Why? Well, she hardly has any family to bother with. She doesn't really have many people as friends. She's not really interested in anything other than herself. But the fact is, she wouldn't use a social media account for the purposes of being entertained. No, she would use a social media account for the purposes of being set to send, namely broadcasting to the masses. She's not interested in looking at what other people are doing. She wants you looking at her. Accordingly, one of the most prevalent uses of social media, connection and being entertained, is not something she will use it for. Another major use of social media is for the promotion of goods and services, i.e. advertising. But she hasn't got anything to sell. She doesn't offer anything. American Riviera Orchard has gone nowhere. What else does she offer? Is she going to give you acting classes? Of course not. Is she going to go back to the old yacht days? Well, one suspects not, but she's certainly not going to advertise that across social media. Accordingly, having an Instagram account to promote goods and services is pointless for her because she hasn't got anything to offer. Another major use of social media is to host entertaining content. That either you write a blog article and link to your blog on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever it might be, or that you're creating videos which you host on YouTube or Rumble or on Facebook and you link it on other social media so that people go there and they watch what you create. Whether it's showing you how you make a beef Wellington, or it shows you jumping off a tall building, or doing parodies and skits, or even some of the mindless, ridiculous clickbait videos. Many people have a social media account for the purposes of hosting entertaining content, written or videos. This one's wife isn't able to do that. She doesn't run a blog. She's got no books that she's written. She hasn't created any videos. Therefore, there is nothing to host in terms of entertaining content. Others use it as a promotional tool as an adjunct to an existing career. For instance, Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the world's most famous footballers, he recently set up a YouTube account. Pop stars use it, movie stars use it, either to perhaps promote what they're offering, goods and services in effect, come and see my latest film, here's me scoring a great goal. But they do it to engage with their fans. They use it alongside an existing career to give people insight into what they're doing, to bring them to new fans, to extend their reach, which then might mean that they can gain sponsorship by virtue of companies saying, yeah, this person's got a substantial presence on social media. We will pay them to tout our latest handbag or face cleanser. But what has this one's wife got? She doesn't have a career. She's a failed celebrity, a failed royal. She once was an actress, but isn't really well known for that, despite what she tries to tell you. Instead, she has no actual career. She's not a sports person or an author. She's not a singer, not a film star. She's not a politician wanting to disseminate a certain message. She isn't really a philanthropist or humanitarian. Thus, she can't use it as an adjunct to a career because she hasn't got one. Another thing that it's utilised for is for people to give individuals a glimpse into their day-to-day life. So, for instance, you might get a famous person that shows them and their family opening their Christmas presents, or showing a photograph of them all wearing matching pyjamas at Christmas, or the famous person shows a new car that they've purchased, or them attending an event. So it gives their fans a glimpse into their life beyond that which is shown to them formally and professionally. This one's wife might do that because she's so self-absorbed that she would think that people would be interested in seeing all of that, but much of it would be hate content. But it would be ridiculous because the things that she does are actually pretty mundane. She has no talent. So you basically be watching a failed royal and a failed actress and a failed A-lister doing things that you could see anybody doing. And because she's got no sense of humour, she's got no charisma, no riz, what would be the point? There's also one aspect whereby she may not want people to look into her day-to-day life because of the issue of control. So given the fact that this Instagram account isn't going to be used for the connection with friends and family, isn't going to be used for her to follow other people by way of being interested in what they're providing, given that it's not going to be there to promote goods and services, that it's not going to be there to host entertaining content, that it isn't an adjunct to a career to promote, that it probably won't give insights into her day-to-day life, what will it be used for? Well, having gone through all of those options, it tends to support that most likely not much will happen with it. But I suspect that you might start to see more posted by her, which of course is driven by the pursuit of the prime aims, but that she's going to start using Instagram more because the other platforms that were ordinarily available to her, favourable coverage in mainstream media, PR puff pieces, has started to dry up. That the media, not having grown bored with her because they recognise she still generates clicks, but more and more of it is critical of her. You only have to look at the headlines. The usual suspects, such as the Daily Express and the Daily Mail, regularly criticise her. The Times and the Daily Telegraph in the United Kingdom often take the piss out of her. That you have publications such as the Daily Beast, the New York Post, even the Hollywood Reporter, which have all been critical of her. And if I suspect the money isn't there to support the PR puff pieces, this means that the platforms that she ordinarily would have used for the purposes of assertion of control and drawing fuel aren't as viable for her, which means that her narcissism needs her to shift to a different platform to get to those prime aims. And given that she's not going to use it for connection and promotion and hosting entertaining content, etc., it seems to me that what she's going to be utilising it for is naturally in relation to the prime aims, but in essence, to comment. Not upon what people have to say to her, but to issue, in effect, what people call clapbacks. You'll have noticed that hitherto, whenever something has been done by the royal family, particularly the Prince and Princess of Wales, this one's wife pops up with an announcement about the fact that she's bought a new egg timer or such like. Banal information where she repeatedly seeks to overshadow matters. One monumental example of that, you will recall, was when Catherine, after a period of illness, was going to appear at Trooping the Colour, and this resulted in the clusterfuck that was the dog biscuit and jam nonsense that was pumped out in an attempt to overshadow and deflect from Catherine's appearance. This one's wife can't help herself. She can't stay in silence. She needs to be able to say, "Look at me." She needs to be able to clap back, either in relation to criticism about her or the spotlight going elsewhere, particularly in relation to the nemesis. And therefore, to my mind, that if it isn't a case of future faking with this post on the Instagram account, what she's now going to start doing is posting stuff there because she can no longer do so with the regularity that she came to rely upon through mainstream media and PR puff pieces. And therefore, she has been forced to go to Instagram for the purposes of drawing attention to herself with what will be probably banal announcements on there and clapping back against her critics. The clapping back which took place through the PR puff pieces and mainstream media is likely to be denied to her as a whole, and instead she's had to resort to Instagram, where she'll have a greater level of control because it's her personal account. And I doubt she would necessarily choose to have somebody run it on her behalf. But given the fact of her obsessive need to micromanage, and the fact that the money's drying up, and the fact that it affords her the level of control that she's so acquainted with, it's my prediction that if it isn't a case of future faking, what she'll be using this Instagram account for is on a very personal basis to clap back, i.e., to nullify threats to control by making some banal announcement about herself and to detract from criticism about her. Do you agree with my analysis? Do you think that that's what she's going to use Instagram for? Do you think perhaps it's just going to be future faking, that it'll go back into dormancy and, like so many other things, there's a brief flurry of interest and then it'll fall silent again? Do you think that actually she will use it for the promotion of content? Do you think she'll actually turn to be an ardent content creator instead? Do you think she's now going to use it to promote goods and services that she'll deliver on ARO? Or do you agree with me that she's simply going to utilise it for the purposes of the nullification of threats to control through clapback? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.